Hey modders, welcome back to ModifedRoll. We're sponsored by DM Dice. Use the code ModifedRoll or follow the link in the description to get 10% off all your adventuring needs. We're also sponsored by Arcanist Rum. Check them out and use code ModifedRoll to get 15% off all purchases and free shipping. The party have now spent their first evening in Belgravia, arriving to perhaps a much warmer reception than they were expecting. But now they must get down to business. They have a message to deliver. Surely, a simple affair. Let's find out in episode 37 of Season 2 of ModifedRoll, an introduction to Bureaucracy. You have all now officially arrived in Belgravia. You've spent your first night back here for some of you, or within the city walls for the first time. You all awaken in the comfort of the inner demon. Some probably a little bit worse for wear, maybe some headaches going around, which seems to be a common trend when you guys wake up in a tavern these days. But you wake bright-ish and early, and as you get yourselves ready to go about the day, what is your plan as a group? What are you guys aiming to do today?
Well, one of the things we've got to go and do is get the paperwork done for the house, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good idea actually, because I love this place, but I don't really want to live here forever. You know, it's good for a good time, but not for a long time.
I think our heads might do some good if we're not in a tavern 24/7.
You are correct. Our head might improve if we aren't in a tavern 24/7. I agree.
I had that so wrong.
Or did you hear it wrong?
Of course you did.
I don't know. We'll see what this house brings.
Indeed. So is the plan just to get straight up and head to what you were told were essentially the bureaucratic offices that make up the we'd call it but it's pretty much part of the keep at this point. So you were given directions and told where to go, but like the keep at the center of the city, at the top of the hill with the walls surrounding it, they have their own sort of bureaucratic offices which are used for like the day-to-day running of the kingdom or the city. Would you guys head straight there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. Would assume you guys have like eaten in the tavern. You had this discussion over breakfast and where you're going. Obviously, first thing in the morning in the Inner Demon, a little bit different to the late nights. There's only a single staff member, not Relius or Resmus in the mornings. It's just a halfling that you would have encountered before. Giliana, but it's like Danny. Giliana would have encountered before, who sort of runs the morning, does the breakfasts and stuff, and gets everyone out the door. But you step outside into a bustling and busy morning in the city of Belgravia. People going about their day-to-day business. Shops are beginning to open. Businesses are beginning to just go about their day, and the streets are full of people. And as you guys make your way through, you hear people hawking their wares. You hear every so often you realise that this being like a busy and like metropolitan city, there are sort of what we consider like newsies, like boys, like young boys and girls, like shouting and selling newspapers. Like this being a quite advanced city, they have their own sort of newspaper to keep track of all the goings on in and around the kingdom. And you hear them like shouting these from the corners, as well as the people hawking their wares in the market stalls that line the streets as you move along. But you move onward into the sort of inner parts of the city as you head up the hill to the upper streets, and you eventually come into sight of this, again, I think I described it as a grand but relatively unimposing keep for the castle. It is made of this smooth white stone, very defensible looking, but not sort of overbearing. It's not this great big towering structure. It is relatively squat, something that was obviously built for defensive purposes more than gaudiness than anything else. But as you travel into the main sort of courtyard that makes up the centre of this castled keep, you can quite easily see there's an area sort of quite obviously standard brickwork buildings set off to the side of the inner walls, and you see clerks coming and going with paperwork and people heading in there with various things, whether it's things that are being brought to the keep for the day, deliveries, or people just with further paperwork, obviously looking to get something resolved by the offices of the kingdom. And you guys, I assume you just walked, just making an assumption there you wouldn't have brought the wagon up for this.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the walk could do us good. It walk off the hangovers.
Yeah, you guys head inside and you find what you're greeted by are these long, well-polished, heavy wooden counters with little sort of glass-fronted bays that are obviously manned by all these various clerks and administrators of this sort of bureaucratic arm of the kingdom. All various races and from all over the country, but all well dressed in simple black jerkins and white shirts underneath. And people, as they're filing in or joining a queue, they're getting waiting and being ushered along to these various little stays until eventually you guys make it to the front. You're called over, and a little halfling woman sort of waves you over to her stall. Well,
Halfling number one, please.
Halfling number one, please. Ding. And you guys are sort of ushered over.
Whoa, that took ages. Oh my gosh. Is it busy today? Is it usually this busy, or?
Well, actually, you've come at a very good time. Normally gets a little bit busier towards midday. This is probably actually the quietest part of the day, so we'll see all day today.
Oh, I'm just quite impatient. Sorry.
Of course, it's no problem at all. We know this. We're well aware that this isn't the most enjoyable place for people coming in. That's why we tend to have so many windows open. But good morning. How can I help you all?
Yes. Good morning. We have some paperwork, and Sinclair will start taking the paperwork out of his satchel for taking up residence within the city, and we were told to come here and get the paperwork sorted with your people.
Oh, excellent. Of course. If you don't mind. And she goes to take the paperwork.
Yep, Sinclair will hand it over.
Are you handing her everything, including the letter and the stuff that happened in Cairn, or just the letter about the house?
Just the letter about the house.
Cool. She takes that, she looks it over, she very quickly sort of skims through it, reads it, picks up on some key points, and she says, yes, this all seems in order. If you don't mind, obviously this being a very specific request, I'm just going to go and speak to one of my managers, and once I have confirmed that everything here is legitimate, I will come back and we can sort out filling in the official paperwork.
Of course, no problem.
Thank you. And she sort of toddles off, and you see her sort of move to back a little bit where there are these, behind her, there's another big wall with a series of doors in it, and there's a lot of glass fronting, so the people in these they can quite clearly see offices at the back, can see into this main room in case things do get particularly busy. More people will come out. She heads in there, and you can see her for a bit as she walks through past all these windows and heads to an enclosed office, which you would guess to be some sort of higher administrator. She's gone for maybe only sort of 15 minutes-ish before coming back, unless you guys would do something in the interim.
Kiliana's Karen hair is starting to form. She'll have to wait another 15 minutes.
Excuse me.
I want to speak to your manager.
We really should have asked for that woman's name. The service.
She comes back about 15 minutes later. You can see she's got your paperwork as well as several other forms in her arms, and she sort of sets these out on the table, and the first thing she does is set the letter out in front of you. Doesn't hand it to you, but sets it on the table and pulls out it's a sort of a reference sheet that allows them to confirm sort of sigils of various nobles to confirm that they are legitimate. And she points to the one for the House of Asper and says, yes, thank you very much. I was able to confirm that the sort of sigil used to seal the letter was legitimate, which is excellent. So what we're going to do now is we'll just go through the simple paperwork to fill in your information to take up residence in the property. I will say the property has been in disuse for a length of time. Obviously, the letter has allowed you to take up residence here, but there is no further funding involved. You will all be taking up sort of the maintenance and caretaking of the property while staying there. But I will say it is a lovely estate. You are just on the sort of western edge of the city in a lovely area with a beautiful view over this lower city, and she gives you directions to the property itself. But now, if you don't mind, we will fill in all of your information so we can make sure that all of our records are up to date. And unless any of you guys are planning to just outright fucking lie to this woman, she will take all of your like official information to put down in their documentation.
Nah.
Nah.
I don't know what GDPR is.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to email each of you guys this form that you have to fill in. No.
I thought you were actually being serious. I was like, oh no.
No.
Not a Google Doc.
What riveting listening that would be.
What do you mean I'm not the king, Dragonborn?
I demand a recount. You guys fill in this information, and it is, while monotonous and a little bit boring, fairly simple. They'll just take like your name, former address, anything they can do to confirm your identity. And obviously, they're not going to stop you from taking the property until that point you have the official letter. But if they found out that you guys were lying, then you might end up getting a visit from the guard. But for now, I'm going to assume you guys are giving all legitimate information. And she takes all this down, the forms are completed, and she sort of bundles that all up, taps it on the desk to tidy up. It's like, excellent. If you'll pardon me for just one more minute, I will fetch the keys and your official paperwork that you can keep on your persons or stored in the property to indicate that you are the current caretakers of the property. And she will bustle off again, this time in a much shorter period of time. The paperwork at this point is done. She just goes and files it and retrieves a key. Well, you probably imagine that after she had already had the letter verified, she probably sent somebody off, and as she returns with a smaller packet for all of you, another member of this sort of administrative team approaches her and hands her a little box. And she walks over, places the box next to some paperwork and said, okay, this is all of your official documentation, which indicates that you guys are the current occupants and caretakers of the property. And she pushes a little chest, like this tiny little box towards you and opens it. And these are all the relevant keys to the property. And you are free to take control of these.
Thank you very much. What was your name again, sorry?
Oh, terribly sorry. My name is Coraver.
Thank you very much, Coraver. We'll take good care of the place. And she'll grab the keys.
Brilliant. Is there anything else I could help you with here today?
No. No? Yes?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. No, thank you. Bye.
Perfect. Have a wonderful day. And she's already signaling for the next person to come over. So, you have control of the property. What are you guys planning to do with the other letter?
Keep it forever in a special little box. I don't know. That's a good question.
We said this place hasn't been maintained in a while. I really hope there's no group of ghouls squatting in our place now.
Oh, I really hope that we don't have to spend a load of money on it. Because that would be rubbish.
It's going to be like DIY SOS.
Oh.
We're going to have to find some lawyers to evict these squatters.
I don't know, a bit of DIY could be fun. Dad mode is coming out.
Oh my god, montage time. It would be
Do these
great.
hands...
That's like... You could project manage.
I could project manage. Actually, that's a great idea. Let's do DIY.
Just Gilliana sipping on a cocktail. Yes, put that up there. So not to sort of push the subject, but obviously you guys were requested to deliver this sort of other letter, the one that detailed all of the shit that had gone down in Cairn, like ASAP. What is your plan with that?
Who? To where? I don't remember.
You were told, I believe, off the top of my head, 'cause it's been a while, to deliver it and make sure that it was like taken to the king.
Oh,
Yeah, directly to the king, essentially.
Oh yeah, let's go to the king then. Christ. Maybe
that's
we
the
should have
thing,
done that first.
We need an appointment.
Oh,
Yes.
where do you get the appointment
Who do
from?
we find to?
Strangely enough, this is
try and
why
get-
I gave you the opportunity to ask
Oh,
her for anything
crap.
else.
I think we
we
need
have
to
to
get
queue.
back in line.
Queue again.
Which
We've
one
been
of
here
you?
for like an hour.
Which one of you are going to go in? I think the rest of us could do with a bit of a rest.
Not me.
All right, give me the paperwork.
The rest of you all go sit in the cart. Oh, you didn't bring the cart, you walked. You all go sit outside. Sinclair is stewing in the line again.
He's tapping his foot.
This is
Are they done
entirely
yet?
Your own fault.
Are they done yet?
He is hungover, to be fair.
Yeah. And of course, as the law of the universe states, now that you've realised you have to join the queue, it is twice as long as when you were first.
Oh, yeah,
in it.
yeah.
Well, yeah, because we
So,
took like 45 minutes at the front.
It turns out we were the ones holding up the queue this entire time.
Well, to be fair, like I said, there are like multiple windows open, and you actually see, now that the queue is longer, more of the staff who were in those offices at the back start moving out, and more of the little windows are opened. So while it is a much, much longer queue, it probably takes about as long as the first wait. But eventually you get to the front, and just for the fucking hell of it, let's say it's Corvera, you get called over by again, the little halfling, and she says, "Oh, back so soon."
Hi. Yes. Sorry, a bit scatterbrained this morning. Yes. It turns out we did have other business. Now, what would we have to do to seek an audience with the king? Is that possible?
Give me a perception check. Nothing bad, I just something could be funny.
16.
Cool. Bear in mind, you say that, and there are like a bunch of other windows and other people, various like halflings, humans, half elves, all sort of working these windows. And you sort of like stand there, and I'm assuming you're not wearing your armor, so you're probably wearing like some of your like standard clothing, which is still
Tank top, short shorts, that kind of thing, yeah. Burns up
Denim
all
shorts.
the
Twerking
side, yeah,
trousers.
yeah, he looks like a right character.
denim shorts and Birkenstocks up to the knee.
You're twerking
But
shorts.
he has got the pendant of Palor around his neck, so it's a weird sight.
Fantastic. So yeah, you come in looking like that. Quite obviously, like you know when somebody smells of a hangover.
Yeah.
You smell of a hangover. So this large, like massive Goliath half orc in a tank top, as you described, and short shorts with a symbol of silver or a golden symbol of Palor, like hanging off your neck. Sort of leans on the counter. It's like, do you know what I have to do to see the king?
Well, he's not from this place. I don't know how to approach about seeing royalty.
You know, it might have been easier to go up to a god and ask this.
With a 16, what you see is the clerk next to Corvair sniggers while filling in some paperwork. Does not even like look at you, keeps it on the paper. But you know you do that. Somebody's like looking at the paper and you see them shoulders start to go. Corvair, God bless her soul, stone-faced, does not laugh. But she says, "Oh, okay. I will say, you know, we get quite a lot of people coming in here demanding to see the king. But obviously we've already sorted out some paperwork from yourself, so I know you have been dealing with some of the nobility recently. So it would honestly depend entirely on what the meeting would be in regards to, because obviously the king will take petitioners every so often, but it is obviously related to the severity of the incident that they're here to speak about."
Sinclair will lean in close to her because he doesn't want all the rest of them to hear. And he'll whisper, and he's probably got rancid hangover breath as well, so it's horrible. Yeah. This is of national importance.
Give me an insight check. And this isn't to read her, this is just something I'm just going to give you a hint if you roll well enough here.
14.
Yeah, I mean, with a 14, as you sort of lean in, you say that of national importance, you realise, we've already shown her one letter with the stamp of Asper. Maybe I can show, like, without opening it, I can show her the letter which is sealed with Lord Fennec's seal as well.
Which is what he does.
Yeah, so you sort of, like, flash that, and she instantly recognises the seal, recognises that obviously the paperwork you would have, or like the letter essentially you would have got from Lady Asper indicates you've already been to Cairn. So she can see this with Lord Fenwick's symbol as well. She's like, okay. When you say national importance, give me a persuasion check, please. At advantage, because obviously you've got all this corroborating evidence to show that you've been
hell yeah.
nobility.
Oh, we'll take a nat 20.
Woo!
Phenomenal. Corvair sort of like eyes flick to the letter, flicks to your face, and she tries to read you, and she can see the sincerity in your face. And you can see she like thinks for a second, drums her fingers on the desk, and says, "Give me one moment, and I will see if we can arrange a private meeting with my manager, and we will see if we can do anything to get something arranged as quickly as possible. Just wait here one moment." And she bustles into the back, and literally like a minute later, you can tell she's gone and been like, there is some massive like orc adventurer out here who has said he wants to see the king, and he's so far shown me signed and sealed letters from 2 Cairn nobles. I think we should take this seriously. And she comes out with this tall, slim, severe-looking elf in, like, you know, sort of starched collar, like, cutting a exceptionally sharp figure, even, like, sharp features, like a sharp pointed nose, long, narrow chin, sort of steps out, sort of not looking down his nose at you, but no, you know how those people who are like, I am incredibly serious, and I'm always incredibly serious, one of those types of people. You can hear him coming before you see him as his shoes click, 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 click on the stone floor. And he sort of steps up to the counter where Corvair was serving. He with her stood back a little bit, obviously showing a level of respect to this person. And he sort of looks you up and down, taking in the short shorts and tank top, and says, I have been told that you are looking to speak to the king. I have been advised by my subordinate that she believes this to be a fairly serious instance, in which case, please, if you... And he sort of directs you down to the end of all of these little windows where there's a little hatch that opens. If you follow me down here, we can meet in a more secure room and discuss exactly what needs to be arranged. I know, of course, that you probably, with a sealed letter, won't be able to... you've said you want to see the king. There's probably stuff you can and cannot share, but the more we know, the better we can arrange. And he sort of directs you to follow him. At this point, would you get the rest of them, or are you just doing this on your own?
Yeah, he'll sort of, you know, I imagine they're like sat on a bench, you know, like kids do, just waiting for their dad, and he just sort of
swinging their legs,
whistles over to them. Come on.
They all get up.
Ileana skips.
Yeah, so you guys are taken into the back, and you can tell that they obviously have offices specifically for meeting with important people who don't stand in queues. And you're taken into one of these rooms with like a plush, like velvet seating, large, like heavy, like dark wooden tables and chairs. And he sort of brings you in and gestures for you all to sit down.
Oh, this is really nice.
I sit down in my shorts and tank top.
Yeah, what's everyone wearing?
I'm wearing my typical robes.
Oh, robes, slay. I'm in like a pair of trousers and casual, like Sinclair, but like not as revealing.
But not a tank top and booty shorts.
I'm always dressed to fight.
Like the medieval version of hoodie, leggings, and Ugg boots, you know?
Oh, nice, yeah.
Nice. I'm in like wench core, so like like a blouse, corset, and long skirt, but the titties are out.
You don't walk, you bounce.
Yeah, 100%.
God. You guys sit down. There's an ominous creaking from someone's corset, and you all sort of sit at the table. I need to give this guy a name.
I'm always in my very typical robes. I've got to be dressed to fight anytime.
Yeah, so as you're all, he gestures you all to come in and sit down. He sits at the head of the table, and Corvair has actually been brought in with him, and she sort of sits next to him. Thank you for joining me. My name is Waiskin. Yes, I am one of the higher administrators here in the wing. Could I just ask, obviously, I'm going to assume those who wish to see the king are generally asking for reasons of severity. I'm sure you cannot reveal all of the information, otherwise you would have done with Corvair. But could I ask what this is in relation to? And I will see how quickly we can arrange a meeting, if at all.
Wayskin, have you heard about something called mind control?
His eyebrows no fucking insight roll necessary. His eyes shoot up, and you can see the cogs. He's like, "Is she threatening me?" And then he sort of catches himself, and he's like, "Yes, I am familiar with the magics. Yes."
Yeah. Well, that is part of the story of why we need to see the king. There's where to begin. Do you want the whole story or the short version?
So this is entirely up to you guys. He is giving you an out. He's saying look, tell me as much or as little as you want, because this guy's not stupid. He is the head of an administrative wing that works under the king and the governance. He's going to be aware that if somebody comes in saying, "I must speak to the king," and he's showing nobility seals, it's going to be something serious. Otherwise, you would have just told them, "By the way, here's a thing that you guys should know." So he's giving you an out to tell him as much or as little as you think you need to share to show that this is a severe enough problem that the king needs to be told immediately.
Well, I'm sure you've been notified that we've had some dealings with a couple of nobles from Cairn.
Give me an insight check.
That is a 19.
He is confused as fuck. Will you say that? Confusion. Doesn't know what you're talking about.
What?
Do you want to show the seals on the letters?
Yeah, Sinclair will show the seals, but not put the letter anywhere it could be taken away.
Yeah, you just set them in front of you, and he just sort of leans and has a look, and yeah, he can quite clearly make out that you have signed letter from Lady Asper, signed letter, a sealed letter using the wax seal of Lord Fennec. But obviously he can't open that letter because it's still sealed. Yes, I can see that you have had dealings with Lord Fennec and Lady Asper.
So, long story short, there's we have reason to believe that a noble has how do I put this? May have escaped to maybe this region or some other region with a plot to, something not very nice to be done.
Terrorism, Wayskin, that's what it is.
He's a terrorist.
Featuring that mind control that was mentioned earlier.
Yeah, he looks confused. You guys get the distinct impression that even though I'm pretty sure in the recording, I can't remember if it was one of the things that was put in the one that we lost because of my error, or if it was kept in, or when we re-recorded, but I'm pretty sure Fennec told you that he was sending on a letter to the king, to Belgravia, but he was giving you a copy to hand over in person to fill them in with your information, and it was essentially just meant to be corroborating. Whether or not that letter got here, that is not something that this administrator is aware of. This is all brand new news to him.
You could check it with other sources in your department or potentially higher, but a letter was sent with Lord Fennec's seal ahead of us, which should confirm our need to see the king.
Again, sort of confusion. He takes a second, thinks, collects himself. While not all letters to the kingdom are received here in the administrative offices, we do tend to get eyes on most, especially those delivered from nobility. We have not received any correspondence here from any of the nobles in Cairn for several weeks. Of course, that does not mean that it hasn't arrived in the city at all, and when we pass this information on to the king, we will make sure to bring this up in case it was something that has bypassed us entirely. but it is not something that we have seen personally here in the offices.
We cannot tell you exactly what is going on, and the contents of this letter are for the king. That was the instructions from the Lords of Cairn.
I fully
But let me tell you this: it is of grave importance that he sees it as soon as possible. It is a threat to the entire country, and I can't tell you any more than that. But it is very serious.
Cool. I'm going to let the natural 20 you got from earlier carry, just because it's simpler that way, and we don't have to have you roll a 2 1s or something here. He takes you at your word, and you can see he is taking this very seriously. And as he raises his hand to scratch his chin, you see several purple rings on his fingers. No. He takes it very seriously, places his hands on the table in front of him and says, "Of course, I will relay all of this to the king's direct staff and hopefully to the king himself. Unfortunately, it is not something that I believe will be resolved in a matter of minutes, but I have been told by Corvair here that you are taking control of the Asper estate here in the city. So, if you wouldn't mind, you can head to the estate, get yourself settled in. I believe Corvair has already warned you that it is, I would not say in a state of disrepair, just disuse. You may have to do some cleaning to get it back into a satisfactory state. But beyond that, once we have heard back from the King's direct staff, we will be in touch and have you brought directly to the keep."
Very well. That sounds good.
Excellent. If that is everything that you wish to say for now, then I will take this information immediately in hopes of expediting this.
I hope it's the last thing that we need to do here.
In case you've forgotten something else.
Yeah, please, God, tell us now.
God, are you there? I believe this was everything you're supposed to do in the administrative building.
You sure we didn't need to do our taxes or something like that?
You will.
Are we sure?
Once you've been living in the city for a year, you'll have to file in their tax year.
Is that like Form 12B or something like that? Yeah.
So, are we sure this is it? We do not want to be queuing up again, I'm guessing.
No, I think that's it. We thank you for all of your help. I'm sorry to have sprung this on you, but as we say, it's of grave importance.
No, absolutely. It's not often that we get... apologies if I'm making an incorrect assumption, but it's not often we have adventurers travelling to the city with the seals of 2 of the nobility in tow. This is something we are taking very seriously. But please, by all means, we have detained you for long enough. We will allow you to go and settle in at your new abode.
Again, thank
Yes.
you, and we should be in contact soon.
Let's check out our digs.
Well, that's it for this episode. Thanks very much for sticking with us. As usual, I would just like to thank Lixie B for our wonderful logo, and Jeff for all of the fantastic art for our characters in Season 2. Don't forget, you can check out more of Jeff's work on our online store, where you can find his artwork used on our stickers and t-shirts. Also, a massive shout out to the Stormweather Shanty Choir for allowing us to use their song Drunken Sailor as our intro and outro music. Also, a massive thank you to our wonderful sponsors, DN Dice and Arcanist Rum. Find links to both of their websites in our description. And finally, a massive shout out and thank you to all of our Patreon supporters who continue to support us in everything we do. Your support means the world to us, and we hope that we can go on making fantastic content thanks to you. So as I'm actually getting a bit of time to listen to some podcasts again, I do have a recommended podcast for you guys today. That is the Dire Cast. For those of you who have had a look at our Patreon, you would know that we have a lot of amazing content we've been putting out recently. We are a little bit biased, I think it's amazing, but one of the things we've been doing are the Explore the Lore, and because it's so hard to pin these guys down just to record the actual episodes, doing bonus content with all of them is nearly impossible. So I've been branching out and doing some Explore the Lores with guests, So if any of you have listened to those, by the way, the Explore the Lores that we do with guests are always for free. You do not have to be a member of our Patreon to access those. You can access all of our guest content at any time for no cost, because I don't like the idea of having a guest on and then paywalling them. But we had a guest recently, and if you've listened to that, you would know that we had one of my fellow professional GMs from RollDark, Mr. Jacob War, and we sat down and we talked about some of our lore that we've used in our games, specifically some of his games. And you would also have heard, if you have listened to that, or if you haven't yet but might do in the future, you would also know that Jacob was part of a podcast, an actual play D&D, an actual play TTRPG podcast. They did more than just D&D, called Direcast. I, after speaking with Jacob, picked them up and started listening to them. Their first game is actually not D&D at all, it is Honey Heist. For anyone who has not heard of Honey Heist, it is a very simple RPG system where everyone plays a bear and they are trying to commit a heist to steal some honey. It's very funny. I've been enjoying listening to it immensely, and yeah, I definitely think you should go and check that out. And if you haven't, go and check out RollDark. I'm sure most of you guys who've been listening to us for a while will know I am a professional GM as well as a sort of GM for a podcast, among other things. And strangely, people like to pay me to run games for them. So if you're ever in need of a professional GM for whatever reason, birthday parties, just because there isn't a good DM nearby, check out RollDark. We do all over the UK, and I just realised we actually have quite a few listeners in the US. You're going to have something similar, and I think we even have some US-based GMs on there, although I don't know if you can book through RollDark for American games, but you'll have something similar. But if you're in the UK and you're a professional GM, check out RollDark. Sorry, I totally just used this recommended podcast to plug another thing I do. But Jacob, my chat with Jacob was absolutely phenomenal. He was talking about a game which he has just recently started running through RollDark for a sort of Eberron, Curse of Strahd, steampunk vampire mashup, which sounded absolutely insane. And I need to actually catch up with him to see how it's going so far, because I think it started recently. But I had great fun talking to him, and if I can ever get round to scheduling a few of them, there will be more Explore the Lores with other professional GMs from RollDark, as I want to chat to all of these guys about their amazing worlds and settings and all the cool shit they do in their games, so expect more of that. But don't disappear. At the end of the episode today, we have a promo for the 5 GMs in a Trenchcoat podcast, so stick around to the end to hear that. Other than that, the only thing I have left to say, guys, is thank you for sticking with us. If you haven't, do please go and check out our Patreon. We have so much content going up now that I actually need to go and record a lot more of to get us through February. But there's so much content there that you can pick up, and we're always making more. So go and check that out. And of course, if you haven't yet, go and check out one of our bonus episodes that we put up just before Christmas, after Christmas. Recently, I put up the D&D, the Panto game that we played with a bunch of amazing guests, including Liv from Three Black Halflings, Naomi from Secrets of St. Kilda and so many amazing other things that she does, Emily from RP Geeks, and of course our own Danny when we did the recording live at Dragon Meet. Go and check that out if you haven't already. And because we're going to be starting up with shows again soon, if you aren't already, go and subscribe to Actual Play UK on Twitch. As some of you guys would know, in the past I trapped a bunch of amazing TTRPG creators in the UK in a Discord, and now John from Trolls of the Two-Ton Bridges has come along and made a stream that everyone can come and collab on. So it's a constant mashup of all these amazing, talented people from different shows coming together to do something, just frankly, that still shocks me how amazing a lot of it is. And not gonna lie, a lot of that comes down to the work that John has put in, and I cannot thank him enough, and he deserves your support, so please go and check out Actual Play UK on Twitch and Trolls of the Two-Ton Bridges. But that's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with us, and we'll see you soon.
Hello everyone and welcome to 5 Gyms in a Trench Coat.
Excuse me?
Yeah?
What's that?
You want to know what 5 Gyms in a Trench Coat is? Let us tell you.
It's the adhesive that keeps the fragile pieces of my sanity together.
Well, okay, Jesse, what it actually is a narrative-driven TTRPG actual play where 5 friends take turns weaving stories through the tabletop game of their choice.
Of their choice?
Each season?
Each season.
That's pretty cool.
I disagree.
Oh.
I feel it's the adhesive.
So, like, You guys aren't all in a trench coat?
No, we're definitely in a trench coat.
How does that work?
Get her.
Before I'm caught, you can check out 5 Games in a Trench Coat just about anywhere you get your podcasts, or you can check out our website at 5gamesinaTrenchcoat.com. Oh my god, they really are all in a trench coat.